Hi kids, it's your mom. I'm making a sourdough loaf right now, and hopefully I'll be able to give you my sourdough whenever you get older. But so far I have mixed 150 grams of starter, 350 grams of lukewarm water, and then let me grab the salt and everything else that goes in it. We are going to put 8 grams of salt inside of this. I have this on a scale because we're measuring it in grams. So 8 grams of salt, which I don't really, honestly, if it's not perfect, it's not going to hurt anything. It is going to feel like a lot of salt, but we have to feed that starter. Okay, 8 grams of salt. And then we are also going to need to put 500 grams of flour. You can use bread flour, whatever flour works for you. I personally use all-purpose flour because that's just what I keep in stock. So let's get into that. I always grab a measuring cup and just go from there. And I also don't do all of the flour at once because it just tends to be a lot. So I will do 250 grams now, mix it all up, and then another 250 whenever this is all mixed. So that's mixy, mixy, mix. And I'll come back whenever this is complete. It's complete and it's still really liquidy. The extra 250 will up the dosage. So, or not extra, the rest of it. And honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect because our ancestors didn't have all this stuff, so we don't have to have all of it. Like, it's not that serious. My starter's been in the fridge for probably 4 months, but I'm gonna mix this up. So now that this is all mixed together, it's going to be kind of sticky. I'm going to wet my hands because I've learned that dough is harder. It doesn't stick your hands as well whenever it's wet. And we're just going to take this. And we can't put any of this down the drain because it will clog the drain. But hands are still wet and we're going to need, I just do little circular motions. Honestly, this might be too sticky, but if it is, I'll incorporate some in an hour because this has to sit for an hour. Oh gosh, hold on. Okay, so now that that's rested for honestly probably a couple hours at this point, we're going to do a set of stretch and folds. My hands are wet, but I'm going to get them a little bit more wet so that nothing sticks. I'm just going to do a few stretch and folds, and we're going to do every 30 minutes for the next 2 hours. So we'll do 4 total stretch and folds. So that should be good. And then we will just cover it back up and come back in 30 minutes. So after that last stretch and fold, I finished up the last 3, and then you let it rest for about 4 to 6 hours. So it is now around 11 o'clock. So I'm going to take my dough. It looks like this. And I've run out of flour, but that's okay. I'm going to use a little bit of cornstarch because I'm in a pinch. Let me show you how to fold it. Coming in to make a little comment. I touched my hair a lot in that first clip, but I did wash my hands in between putting the cornstarch and touching the dough and filming that first clip. So ignore everything else that's happening. I finished baking a few other things. I made some egg bites, some cinnamon rolls, and quite a few other things because I'm trading services tomorrow with baked goods. And let's make sure we get everything out. Now, this is a little bit runnier than I would like, but let me get the rest of this out. Hold on. Also, my oven has been preheating for 450 with my Dutch oven inside of it. So now my hands are wet. I'm going to just take the dough and we're going to like fold it over a few times if it doesn't get too stuck. Usually I wouldn't let it be this sticky, but what are we gonna do? Okay. So now that we got that, I have this parchment paper that I'm going to put inside the Dutch oven. So I'm going to let me get this set up. I've got this transferred over. I'm going to take some cornstarch. Usually you would use flour, but cornstarch is fine. Rub that in. And this might not score very well because it is a little bit runnier than usual. But we're just gonna take this and we're gonna have to do a few little digs. And then I want some leaves. Just enough to make sure that's all there. And now we're gonna transfer it over. So I have the Dutch oven. I'm just gonna take this, put it right there for a second because it is going to be boiling hot. So make sure you have oven mitts. We will just take this and plop it right in. And then we're gonna get our oven mitts again. Put this on. And then let me double check how long that needs to cook. It's going to cook for 25 minutes covered, so 25 minutes with the lid on, and then we'll take the lid off, still at 450, take the lid off and cook it for another 25 minutes. Okay, so our parchment paper is obviously going to be burned. This is going to fall a little bit. We're going to take this off, be very careful not to touch anything. And this is what our dough looks like so far. We're just going to close that back up and pop it in for another 25 minutes. Here's the end result. I've never had it burn like that. It's probably the cornstarch that burnt a little bit, but that's okay. It will still taste good. But that's all I've got for you tonight. Love you.